Howdy folks, Brother Jim reporting here from End Times Prophecy News. We got some good news. U.S. Attorney Joe DeGenova, quote, Bill Barr announced there are going to be indictments in deep state's Crossfire hurricane Sham. Former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGenova was on the radio earlier this week, and he dropped some bombshells when discussing the ongoing work related to the crimes committed by Obama's deep state actors. Here's a section of what DeGenova said early in the interview. Bill Barr announced there are going to be indictments in this case when he went on Laura Ingram's show on the other night and gave an amazing interview for an Attorney General of the United States. He said, yeah, sure, John Durham could write a report, but that's not what he's doing. He's getting ready to bring indictments if he has the evidence, quote, unquote. But if he has the evidence is like a passive footnote. What the Attorney General was saying after saying that Crossfire Hurricane was one of the greatest travesties in American history and that he was deeply disturbed about the evidence that he had seen. I think it's pretty clear that John Brennan, if he doesn't have a lawyer now, then he better get one because the indictments are coming. As we have discussed on this program for a long time, this was never about John Durham writing a report. He can do that if he wants to, but the most important thing is to bring indictments. And the Attorney General just said to us that's exactly what he's doing. Other notes from the great interview, the FBI was not only pushing garbage to get the Carter Page FISA warrant, they knew they were pushing garbage. The items redacted in the FISA report from the DOJ IG Horowitz are redacted because they implicate foreign governments, which are likely the UK, Italy, Australia, and perhaps others, not national security. The entire interview is well worth your time. It looks like indictments are finally coming. Here's another one that put a little smile on your face. Elitist billionaire Bill Gates condemns President Trump for rightly withholding funds to China puppet, the World Health Organization. Economist and assistant to the President, Director of Trade and Manufacturing Policy and the National Defense Production Act Policy Coordinator Peter Navarro was on Fox Business yesterday with Lou Dobbs. He shared his agreement with the President's action to withhold money to the World Health Organization. We reported on March 23, 2020, that Tedros was a China puppet and the member of a terrorist organization running Ethiopia. Navarro confirmed the WHO's links to China and shared much more. It's coming out worse and worse, folks, and it looks like indictments are going to happen. But clearly the Democrats and the elites don't like President Trump putting a stop to funding the WHO. Billionaire Bill Gates made a point to condemn the president for his actions. He said in a tweet, halting funding for the World Health Organization to destroy the world during a world health crisis is as dangerous as it sounds. Their work is slowing the spread of COVID-19, and if that work is stopped, no other organization can replace them. The world needs WHO now more than ever. The only way elites and Democrats would be happy with President Trump if he gave the entire U.S. to China or some other country, and yet they wonder why Americans don't buy their elitist garbage. Or how about China dramatically raises the death toll from Wuhan after skepticism over body count? You know what this one's about, folks? Raising the mortality rate, because they did not raise the contraction rate in this one. That's right. So the mortality rate is going up. About 600 more people they added. The number of deaths in Wuhan, China, and the only reason why they added these deaths is because everyone knows they're a fraud. So, okay, we'll add 10% more, even though there's maybe like 300% more, we'll add 10% more. And we won't add any more to the contraction rate, which is probably through the roof at 100 million, maybe 500 million in China alone. It's a joke, folks. They work the numbers just for their narrative. To destroy Trump, make communist countries look good. The number of deaths in Wuhan, China, ground zero for the coronavirus SARS-CoV 2 has always been remarkably low, so low in fact that as the virus began to sweep across the globe, there was not widespread fear because the death rate was not alarming. In I think the pronunciation is Hubei province, where Wuhan, a city of more than 11 million residents, China said there were just 1,290 deaths. But on Friday, Beijing raised Wuhan's coronavirus death toll by nearly 50% after weeks of charges that Communist Party officials were underreporting the numbers. That's only one province out of China. Now China is reporting 3,869 deaths. The number of confirmed cases was also raised dramatically from 325 to 50,000. Oh, wait a minute. Forgive me, I was wrong. The number of confirmed cases was raised dramatically from 325 to 50,000. That's over 40, well, it's almost, yeah, it's actually over 50,000 more cases. That number accounts for 2/3 of China's total 82,367 announced cases. That's what they already had. Johns Hopkins Center for Systems Science and Engineering reports that China has had 83,760 and 4,512 deaths. I don't understand. If they have 50,000 more confirmed cases, then they should add that to the 83,000 and make it 133,000. I don't understand here. Let's do some math. The U.S. has a population of 328 million. To date, America has had 671,000 who contracted it with 33,000 deaths. But China, a nation with 1.4 billion, has had just 82,000 cases and 3,869 deaths. And that's where the virus emerged and spread rapidly as China traveled extensively to celebrate the Lunar New Year. Not a chance. Both sets of numbers from China and Johns Hopkins are both likely way short of the actual numbers. That's what I've been saying all along. Johns Hopkins, our universities, are in bed with the communists. They're a bunch of leftist nutballs. Chinese state media claimed Friday that the reason for the sudden leak was that medical facilities were overwhelmed during the peak of the outbreak, and because of that, belated, missed, and mistaken reported occurred. Fox News reported. Lies, lies, lies. Due to the insufficiency in admission and treatment capability, a few medical institutions failed to connect with the disease prevention and control system in time, while hospitals were overloaded and medics were overwhelmed with patients, the official Xinhua News Agency reported. The dramatic change in the numbers did not surprise U.S. critics. The new numbers Friday were not a surprise to critics, though. Well, after repeatedly defending the accuracy of their data, China officials revised the coronavirus death toll in Wuhan. Senator John Cornyn, Republican of Texas, wrote on Twitter, "It means really hardly nothing." U.S. officials have long suspected that China is cooking the books. China has concealed the extent of the coronavirus outbreak in its country, underreporting both total cases and deaths it suffered from the disease, the U.S. intelligence community concluded in a classified report to the White House. According to 3 U.S. officials, Bloomberg News reported in early April. The officials asked not to be identified because the report is secret, and they declined to detail its contents, but the thrust, they said, is that China's public reporting on cases and deaths is unintentionally incomplete. 2 of the officials said the report concludes that China's numbers are fake. The report was received by the White House last week. One of the officials said, well, let's see, they have over 1 million people of their own people in concentration camps to persecute unto death. Why shouldn't we be listening to them? Why shouldn't we believe the truth? Do you have Chinese phobia? Do you have CCP phobia, folks? You need to stop that. That is not approved by YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for listening.